News.
It's 8:41 now at iFiber One News Radio. Good morning to you. I'm Jeff Slakey. We're diving on deep to a great conversation with the Port of Shelton, and I have in studio this time Wendy Smith and Dick Taylor. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
How is it going?
Well, it's a beautiful day in Shelton, isn't it?
Snowing.
Wow, it is snowing. Just picked up pretty good out there.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Welcome to the Northwest.
For sure. Has this impacted anything either with the port work that you guys are doing or with the businesses on the port?
Well,
How has this weather been?
The guys are out. We have to keep the runway open. So staff has been out plowing the runway, and what was it, Tuesday? They couldn't. Well, yeah, was it
Monday?
Monday. Yeah, Monday. They couldn't keep up with it.
Does it have to be completely clear for planes to land?
It's, I think,
As
I don't know if
clear
it
as
has
possible.
to be. It's supposed to be clear. And so we had a vehicle die in the middle of the runway, and the snow just kept coming.
Yeah.
And so, by the time even I got to work, they had cleared the sidewalks, they had been plowing, and you couldn't hardly tell.
Right.
It was just coming too fast.
Did a great job.
Oh, those guys worked so hard, and just thank you
I
to
bet.
those guys. They just work.
Wow.
I mean, they came in and said, "We're eating lunch." That was the extent of all we saw of them on Monday. They
gotta
just
get
kept
back to it.
Yeah.
And there's, we have a lot of roads.
Yeah, there are
And
a lot of
so
roads.
from Sanderson Field to the runway to, and yesterday we got a call from a hangar tenant that just said, is there possible for the guys to, go between the hangars? That's not a priority. But the runway was open, and plus, I think you worry a little bit about flooding.
Sure.
So with the snow packed up in between those, you don't want it to end up going
you
in.
want to get it cleaned out.
So now there's a large mound of snow somewhere on port property. They'll be here till Oyster Fest.
yeah. Nothing too big. I mean, it's pretty spread out, but those guys just did a great job.
Man,
so
that is
thanks to
great.
those guys.
Good
Yeah.
for-
Yeah, you can take off and land in the snow. I mean, I've
Sure.
I mean, I think
private guys, I don't know, but commercial and military aircraft do it all the time.
Sure.
Well, what they ended up doing is putting out a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen, and they just said, due to the conditions and not keeping, they just were going to close it till 9 a.m. yesterday. But the sun came out and the snow stopped, and so quickly we took that off. So.
Port meeting recently, Mr. Taylor. What have you guys been talking about?
We talked about, I guess the biggest thing we talked about is setting up our retreat.
Okay.
So, and we're going to do that on the 27th? 27th, which is Monday. Place to be determined.
Oh, sure.
We haven't decided where to go yet, but it'll be around here somewhere.
What do you guys talk about at these things?
Well, that's one of the things that we're putting together right now. Wendy's going to put up a list of what her priorities are, and we, the commissioners, are going to add and subtract and put our own list together, and we'll come up with an agenda prior to going to it, and then we'll go through it. And last year we had a great retreat, and the results of that, I think, have we finished off everything that we said we did?
Pretty close. I think we did all the priorities. There's a couple items like a commercial dock at the Marina that obviously hasn't been done. It's more like let's take a look. Let's keep that on our list. What's exciting and what I asked the commission is to do this. There's lots of stuff going on, and there's exciting things. Tenants need more space. We need buildings. Rail is kind of a need for just for repair, and we have some interest in rail and some potential property interest, and so. What are we going to do? What are we going to prioritize and do first? So
that's exciting. A list of goals last year come to completion. That's always great to feel.
Oh yeah, we had it posted and kind of checked it off as we did it. So
well, good for you guys. That's awesome. What else is going on? How is your help working now with Lynch Creek on the Curb grants?
Yep. So Monday, the 30th, last Monday was our turn-in. So we had to turn in our Tier 2 application, and that was, just more financial information, et cetera. Because we just went through it with Fraser, it helped. And so we got all that turned in. Now the board meeting will be held on March 16th.
Okay.
And as you know, we'll find out that day. So I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah. One thing I'm thinking about the curb stuff. Wendy testified, 2 weeks ago over at the curb board.
Yeah.
In front of the curb, or in front of the it was the Senate committee.
I did a Senate committee, and then the next week I did a House committee.
House committee, both committees. And I got to give her a pat on the back. She got some beautiful kudos from the WPPA for her testimony in support of the CERB legislation.
Yeah, because it's
the
not
only person that was
the port.
Yeah,
it's helping
everybody, and she was the only person named by name.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Well, and that was because at the Senate committee, and I think I reported that here, there was several ports in attendance. At the House committee, I think, we're close, so it's easy for us to get there, but I was virtually the only port there. And so they actually pulled us up like a panel. And so I was with the staff person, I was with the chair of the committee, which all this stuff is great. I mean, this lends great for us coming before the board and saying, we got a project, we're doing with a partner. But it's just a fascinating and interesting piece of the puzzle. And I asked the staff person last week how things were going and what she, was hearing and feeling like. And she said she's hearing lots of good, and there's tons of great feedback. I think I mentioned Drew McEwen just was totally on board. I think Dan is the same. I think Tim is also. And so the support's there. It's just whether they can move the mountains and make it happen.
That's great.
So, I
was
really
driving out to the Alderbrook over this past weekend, and I noticed some work being done. And yesterday I got a note from Karn at the EDC that the signs are up and new neighbors will be across the way from you guys at the port. That's got to be exciting
right
for you.
Door. Yeah.
The Tractor Supply Company coming into town. Have you heard more about a timeline with these folks? Or
I've just really heard this spring.
Okay.
Brandon Palmer, our engineering manager, he's been asked if he wanted to be involved in the I'm probably going to get this wrong, but the pre-submission or the conferences, with the permitting, and he very much does.
Yeah.
And they're our neighbor, and we want to find out what roads they're going to use when they're trucking in their construction and that kind of thing. So,
that's exciting for the community.
Very.
And nice right there near port property. Any other portion? The Marina, anything new on the Marina? Just people
just hanging around,
sweeping the walks and making sure they don't slip.
Yeah, so we're still in that upgrading process. Our deadline's come and gone. I'm going to be meeting with our advisory committee tomorrow to just kind of get a handle on, here are the people. I think we're about 50% completely completed, and by that I mean there's several, probably more like 75 to 80% that are substantially complete. So they might need a plaque on their door that has their contact information. That was one of the requirements, but it's not a safety. So we need to now determine, we're almost 2 months past that date, and it's important that people comply because a lot of people did. And they spent hard-earned money, and so we're going to meet just to say here's our thoughts. We're going to be sending out a letter, and this is what we're thinking, and find out if we're all on the same page. So
very good.
But it looks great.
It's fantastic.
It's head and shoulders over what it was 2 years ago.
Very nice looking down there.
Yes.
Dick Taylor and Wendy Smith from the Port of Shelton during our Port of Call here today. We'll surface on out and welcome you back next week at this time. We'll talk about some more good things that the port's been up to.
I'll see you.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Do you know you have access to the fastest internet in Washington State? Switch to iFiber Communications right now and take advantage of our special offers. Pay only $29.95 for 100 megabit high-speed internet, or get 3 months of internet absolutely free. That's right, $29.95 for 100 megabit speeds or 3 months of internet free. Shop, stream, and game like never before with iFiber Communications high-speed internet. Call 360-427-4000 or check us online at ifiber.tv. Subject to credit approval, valid on a 24-month contract.